Good evening, one. Kindly confirm you can hear me, please.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening,
Okay.
sir.
Good evening. Welcome to today's class. We're going to go straight into what we have for today. Father, we pray that as we look into what we have scheduled for today, you grant us insight. Amen. Okay. Last week we did some couple of things. So just give me some few minutes to turn on my screen. Was anybody able to try what we looked at last week? Anybody? Anybody want to share something? Okay. Nobody had the time to look into it. Okay, so just give me a minute.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening, sir. I can hear you.
Yeah, I actually look into what we learned last week, but I did not get that much from it because the video was blurry. It was blurry. I barely see what is written on the screen, so I was not able to pick some things from what you were teaching. And and
Oh,
and the I tried to say, okay, let me see how I can replicate what you taught us, the concerning the user flow. The video has been brought down. So I say I don't know. Is there any way that they can rectify it, like maybe cut that part off that make them brought the video down so
yes,
that
yes.
those that
Would we'll do that. We'll do that. I would follow up on that. So what you do is probably as the call is going on or towards the end of the call, just drop this request on the group so
all
that
right, sir.
look into it. If not, I honestly speaking, I might forget after the call. My I had a couple of things that I might just be doing and I might end up forgetting. So the other one you said the video is blur. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, it was
you
blurry. I barely see the letters,
it
the
was
writings.
it was on YouTube, right?
Yeah, YouTube.
So do you know how to enhance your video quality on YouTube?
Oh, 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 oh.
So
I
you
thought
can
it's from. I will try that. I will try that.
try that. Try
I will try
increase
that.
the video resolution. Try maybe 1080
Yes,
or yeah, should give you.
yes,
Or if
yes.
you do that and it's still the same, you let us know. We'll also see how
All
to.
right, all right,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So today's class. Um, Oma, it's been a while I saw V. Is there any challenge we have?
Yes, sir. I think today is Wednesday. On Tuesday, she mentioned that she was traveling to assist her pastor with something, so she would be on. She won't be around, and the nature of the thing should be busy, busy, busy.
Okay. Okay, no
Yeah.
problem. No problem. Who else? So I asked the other time that you should reach out to the other students. Were you able to do that? Did you find the time for that?
Sorry, sir. Are you speaking to me?
Yes, yes, please.
Oh, when was that, please? I don't remember hearing this request.
Oh, okay. Maybe you were not on call that day. I just spoke thinking you were on call. So just try and help reach out to all the students and be sure that some persons their schedule might be tight. I know some persons that told me they regularly watch the videos. So just try and follow up with everyone and be sure that they are following up with the class or if they have lost participation at some point so that we know how many of
Okay,
us are still here.
okay, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. I would really appreciate that. Okay, so let me know once you start seeing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oma, you were not in class last week, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So for Faith, I think you were in class last week. Uh, Bridget was not in class last week. Am I mistaken? Uh, Mary Jane. Mary Jane. It's been a while I saw Mary Jane.
Good evening, sir. I was in class last week.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think I need to start taking my time to look at who is on class every week so that I don't have some people thinking some people that's been a while. Okay. Um, so for those of us in class last week, towards the end of the class, I asked and everybody said, yeah, 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 yeah. I want to be sure. Did we get what we did last week? Nobody is saying anything.
Yes, sir. The class was clear, but we wouldn't mind if you still walk us through again today.
Okay. Um, um, what's it called? For Faith, were you in class last week? Okay, a number of us is taking time to respond, so I think I will just proceed. Okay, I would take Miss Mary Jane's request and do a quick recap what we did last week. So I said last week that I said last 2 weeks, let me start with that we will go into designing. And I want to design something real quick. And after that is done, I will now start walking us through the process of the principles of design. We'll be designing while we're looking at those principles. So I then decided that we were going to design these three UI screens. These screens is supposed to be for forget password, reset password, and successful notification that your password has been reset. But for we to do this, I said that we need to consider a certain frame size to which we're going to be using to do our design. The frame size happens to be the canvas to which you are actually designing on. So I said there are numerous number of them. For this one particularly, we're using iPhone 17. So that seems to be the canvas we are trying to use to design. So the UI that we are trying to replicate here, we're trying to do that design for a particular screen size. I also said that every user that use your product use it, sorry, with a device. While you might not be able to know all the devices that people will be using to test we'll be using what's the right word now? We'll be using to use the product. You would have to choose one which you would need to design the product with. The developers will then make those designs responsive to every other devices. So let's say Mary Jane uses a Samsung, and I use an iPhone. Someone else uses a Techno. All of these phones, many of them have different screen sizes. Some are tinier than the others, some are bigger, some are wider. Some phones are flip mode. When you flip it, it turns into a tab. So we want to be able to design a particular product that can work across all these devices. So what we then need to do is we need to pick a particular device which we'll be doing our design on. It's then the responsibilities of the developers to ensure that that design that we have done is responsive. What I mean by responsive is that the design can fit every screen size. So let me show us a quick example of what I mean by the design can fit every screen size. So you look at Google now. If you can see my screen, this is Google showing up here. If I reduce the size, this is how it is. This is all of this thing black you're seeing on my screen, or gray rather, happens to be Chrome. So I open Chrome. If I reduce the size of this screen, you notice that the design, the layout, how things are positioned, icons, the search bar, all of these other things, everything begins to take a different shape. So I'm going to do that so you would notice. I'm going to move this. You will see how that some of those things are disappearing, and then there happen to not be an icon showing here. The icon is telling me that there's more that is locked up in here, and when I click on it, it shows me the remaining list of them. I'm going to click this back out. The more you keep reducing, you also see this content here. It wasn't stuck in. I'm going to expand it back so that you see it again. You see, the more I expand it, they are all stretched. The more I move my screen. So what it happens to do is that all the assets, the content on the screen begins to adjust themselves to ensure that no content is missing out. Because if I start moving this in and this guy that's here doesn't happen to move to the bottom, it will end up being lost inside of the screen here. So the more I keep moving it, everything in my screen keeps adjusting till we get to a mobile view. Now, there's also an app I can use to do that, to view my design or to view a particular design across different screen sizes. So what I'm trying to show you is called mobile responsive. It's called responsiveness. Let me not use the word mobile so that you don't have your mind fixed on it just being mobile devices. So it's called screen responsiveness. That's to say, how responsive is your screen? How can it fit into different laptop screen sizes, desktop screen sizes, mobile screen sizes? You see that if you open Google on your laptop and you open the same Google on your phone, it shows you two different views. What happened is that it's a particular design that has been morphed to fit your screen size. So I'm going to use this for an example. There's this, are you serious? Cannot be activated on this navigation page of your browser. Try another tab or browse the site and then install. Okay, it cannot be used on this side. Let's think of a site. Let's say, I'm thinking of a site now. Why is there no site coming to my head? I need something very simple. I don't need a complex site. Okay. Someone should help me out. I'm thinking of some. Okay, let me try Jumia. Okay, so this is Jumia, right? I want us to see if that guy is going to work with Jumia. It didn't work with normal. I'm going to go back and click on it. All of these are plugins, they're extensions, sorry, they're extensions. So I use different extensions for different reasons while I work. So now this extension says discover now the new video capture features. I don't need all of these. Start recording my screen, blah, 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 blah. Thank you. Now, this is Jumia. It's not loading properly, or I would have preferred the site that loads properly. Okay, it's still loading, but it's taking time. Could that be all? Or is it my network? I think it might be, no, if it's not, if it's my network, that page shouldn't work properly. But let me just keep explaining what I'm explaining. So you see that this, the Jumia site, this is how it shows on a mobile device. Now, if I'm going to, so this particular stuff helps me test different products on different screen sizes. So if I'm going to come here and say change mode, here you see that it shows me a number of devices. So you see Android device, Samsung Galaxy, this is Redmi, this is Hawaii, this is Google Pixel, this is OnePlus, this is Galaxy Z Flip, you know. Let me try one of them. Let me change this device to Samsung S20. Samsung S20, if you notice, seems to be a little bit more lean and longer than the previous device. So you see how it fits on this device. I'm going to try another device. For instance, now, let's take note. This device, you look at the outlook, you might not really notice it so much, but then for every screen, the design actually get responsive. So let me try something that's a little bit bigger. Let me try flip. Let me see how it looks. Okay, the flip is not opening. I would have preferred it to open. Let me do something. Yeah, so let me use this. These are tablets. Let me use Microsoft Surface 12. Let me see. So this is a Microsoft Surface Dual that's supposed to be a flip. So for me, most times when I work, I try to, after a product has been fully developed, I try to see how it fits in different screen sizes. Then I will know if I need to make adjustment to it or not. Now, but this is by the way. So I'm going to leave this. Let me disable this for now. Let's go back to Jumia. So I want us to see mobile responsiveness in real time. So I'm going to adjust the size of Jumia. I just want you to, I think that loading issue was from that side because it's loading perfectly. So I'm going to adjust the screen. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
We can hear you, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
I'm going to adjust the size of this screen, and I want you to take note of how the entire content in the screen begins to adjust. So I'm going to expand it first. I'm expanding it, nothing so much actually happens, so I'm going to be reducing it. You see how the entire content begins to change. You notice it's just kind of zoomed in by itself because you notice that the screen size that I provided for it is now smaller. So I'm going to keep reducing it. So now if you notice something here, you see this content here is hidden. Did you notice that? All of the content here is hidden. So For Jumia, they partially have a screen responsiveness issue on their site at this point. Because let's say I open a tab, a small tab from my browser. I wouldn't know. Can you see what's happening? There are a lot of information hidden by the side here, and that's not supposed to be. I'm going to expand this again. It should be that Jumia was supposed to see how it's looking here. It's supposed to have been that this their site is supposed to be mobile responsive even up to this point. Everything here was supposed to have readjusted themselves to fit into what is on the screen. I'm going to try another site. Let me try, let's see. I'm thinking of a site that wouldn't cause what's it called? Cause our video to be flagged. I don't want any personal information or data to come up. So let me try and Linktree. Okay. Let me try this page or this website rather. Let me see how it does. So we'll take note of it. And another thing many persons try to, probably for Jumia, they would assume that nobody actually uses a desktop device that is this tiny. So they tend to stop at a given point, hoping that for latest products that are in the market, desktops and all that, you can't find a device that is that small. So I think I need to stop leave the meeting and join back. I think that stuff that happened last week is happening again. My voice is faster than my screen. My voice is faster than the screen sharing. So just give me a minute while you guys are still on the call. I'm going to leave and join back. I think my network is a little bit slow.
Can't hear anything, or is it just from my end? Good evening. Ah, okay, look.
Okay, please confirm. Can you hear me?
All right, yes, now. Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Can't see your
good.
screen again. I
Yeah,
can't anyway.
just hold on. It's coming up. Okay, can you see my screen now? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, so we're trying to check this other side. So I really think my network is down because this page is still loading. That's not supposed to have happened. What network am I using, by the way? I'm using my fiber. Why is it this way? Yeah, it's very slow. I think I'll have to use my other. Just give me a minute.
Sorry, guys, please, am I the only one who can't hear anything?
It's not only you, even me.
It's same here. It's the same thing here.
Oh, okay, okay. I just wanted to confirm that he's not on.
But you can listen to the gentle, still voice.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We
Okay.
can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the networks are really, really quite down on both ends. I just trying to see what works. Okay. So I'm gonna try to use something else. That other site is this is not supposed to take me seconds to open. I think the network is really bad. I've tried both devices. It might be going well on the call for our talk, but then for uploads is or downloads is taking time. So back to what I was saying. Let me use this particular screen I'm seeing. So I'm going to reduce this. Let me see how this works. So, and you can also see that if you look at here, look at how the text tries to rearrange itself. Now, did you see something? The screen flips. This thing is still slow. The screen flips. Was that the right word? The screen rearranges itself. Initially, this content up, down, this is by the side, but reduce, go back, down. The whole thing readjusts, comes to like a tab mode. We check at the top here. This menu bar you have here was not here initially. I'm going to expand this again. That happens to be the navigations you have at the top. So now because this top is now too reduced, it no longer contain them, it then has a menu bar to see all of what is underneath it. So I'm going to keep reducing, keeps adjusting, keeps adjusting, keeps adjusting, keeps adjusting, keeps adjusting. Now, you see the difference between these guys and Jumia. They ensure that the site is fully responsive even to the end. There's no content that was cut out or left out. Everything fits well. Now, for this one, you might think that the content actually cut out, but it tells you down here that it's a slider. So you can actually slide through. So that one was not mistakenly cut out. They end up putting a slider effect there. Every other thing fits well as it's supposed to. Now, the reason why I'm taking my time to make emphasis to this is because of grid, what I taught last week. Now, if you check the edges of this, you will see that there are spaces that are given across the entire design. Designs should not be locked or missing inside the screen. When I mean inside the screen, lost, just like what happened to Jumia, for instance. All this content be lost inside of here. It's not supposed to be so. Expanding it, I'm not saying that a lot of things are lost that is not responsive. Let me try and load Jumia screen again to see if it wasn't network that made it that way. So let me reload. Hope the network will be fast this time. Okay, that's reloaded, but unfortunately, it is still the same thing. So this site happens to be more responsive than Jumia's site. So I'm just trying to use in a nutshell, try to explain what mobile responsiveness means. Now, coming back to what we did last week. Now, just so that we know safe areas where content are supposed to be and where content are not supposed to be, we have something that is called, let me remove this guy here so that I can see very well. We have something that is called layout guide. So under layout guide, we can then create tons of different types of layout. We have grid, we have columns, and we have rows. So last week, I told us that things to major on are columns and rows. Columns and rows. And the columns are supposed to help in placement of asset or object or designs in your frame. The frame I'm making reference to is your design frame in where you are doing your design. It's supposed to help you properly arrange things that you're designing. Secondly, the rows are supposed to guide you where content are not supposed to be in clash with, like the bottom and the top. And I showed us this image that gives us an example of how content are to be placed on an iPhone screen. So having said that, we'll now go down into what we have for today. So for today, I told us that we're going to look into designing this. Hopefully, I said this is just like a crash design. It's something real quick. From next week, we would be looking at, I say from next week, from tomorrow, we'll be looking at, I'm hoping that we'll design all of this today. Next week, we'll be looking at, what's it called? Looking at how, if you look at this design now, you see that there are different font sizes. We'll be looking at how to prepare different font sizes to use across your design and the likes. So now, from this design, I'm going to hide what I have to be my grid. I'm going to hide that now so that my design screen is clean, so that you all can see you all can see what I have there. So I'm going to design now. I'm just going to be doing this real quick. So for me, the first thing I would want to do in designing this screen is to consider the text. Now, remember we said we're designing forgot password flow. Now, what is a flow? Let me explain that. A flow is series of action that a user can take that is supposed to help the user finish a particular task. So a flow always have a start point and an end point. So for instance, if I'm building a product for V, like I said, and I want to consider somebody that wants to buy a product want to buy something from the app, I would want to consider something like a purchase flow. Now, what a purchase flow would do is that it will cover how the user will start and where the user will end if the user would want to buy something. So a start point will be that the user from the home page will be scrolling. I'll give you an instance. Let me come back to Jumia. The user at this point will be scrolling to find something that the user wants to buy. We'll be scrolling to find something that the user wants to buy. And then the user clicks on what the user wants to buy. For instance, it takes the user to this screen. Now notice the user has left one screen to another screen. Now that's a process. So the user keep leaving from screen to screen. Now from this screen, the user now clicks add to cart. It's now added to cart. Then the user now go and click in cart. So now it has taken the user to another screen. So a flow is a process of screen from one screen to another screen until the user achieves the aim to which the user actually visited the website or the app for that particular day. So I said a flow like it's a series of tasks. So it's a particular task with different actions. Particular task with different actions. So from here now, I'm going to click on checkout. It keep taking me from flow to flow to flow to flow. I'm sorry, from screen to screen to screen to screen until it lands me. My email has shown up there. Until it lands me where what's the right word now? Until it lands me where I'm done, I'm supposed to make my purchase, and I then see that my product is being packed and will be shipped to me. So for Jumia, that would be like I don't know what name they might call it, any name, but that's a particular kind of flow. So for this particular app, they actually did a flow for forget password. That's the actions that a user is supposed to take if the user wants to recover their password. So let's say a user wants to change their profile picture. So there's a flow that the user takes. There's let me use the word. There's a flow that the user take to recover and to change their profile picture. So in designing, we try to categorize them by flows so that it helps you arrange what you're designing, and it also helps you mentally progress as you're designing. I'll give you a quick example of tons of flows. Let me see if these guys that we're going to be using did it. Let me see. So these guys did not arrange their designs by flow, unfortunately. So we would not be using that. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I opened that is supposed to do that. Okay, there's nothing else. I don't want to. Let me see if I can open an old project. I need something that talks about flow. Okay, I'm not really seeing anyone now. Don't worry. Once we are moving, we would do that. You would understand better. Don't worry. You would understand better in time. So for me now, I'm going to start with writing. I'm going to start with the text and everything. So I've explained to us where each of these, where you can get each of these. So I will just try to design and then you follow along. For those of us that are just coming up in designing, you can try to put your text or your objects side by side to this to get actual size. But that's okay. Just forget I said that. Let's do what we want to do. Okay, so I click on my text tool. I'm going to type forget password. If you have a question while I'm designing, feel free to tell me to pause and explain what I'm saying. So I have forget password, center to screen. I'm going to take it up a little. Because is the caption of this page, I'm going to make it bolder so that it stands out. Now, in design, I'm going to say this now. In design, there's something we call hierarchy. I've explained it before, but I think I need to say it again. So hierarchy in design. So let me come show you something real quick. Yeah. This guy explains it better for me. Still loading. Yep. So if you look at this design, you see that so this is topography hierarchy. You see that both cards here have the same content, but each of them are not displayed the same way. The one on the left-hand side is displayed with perspective to hierarchy. The one on the right-hand side is not. So hierarchy is prioritizing certain text. See, people read, everyone that reads, when we read things on screen, we start reading from what is large to what is little. So when we are designing, hierarchy is something that we need to pay strong attention to. We need to be able to guide the mind of the reader to go from this point to that point. So when we're doing UI UX design, I said earlier that we're going to talk about text. I'm just trying to rush something with us for now. We have a title, we have subheading, we now have text, body. We call it body. So title, subheading, body. So body text are what you use for your regular typing across your design. Titles are what you use for the title. Subheading are what you use for capturing text that are a little bit bigger, not as big as the title. So just the same way you make use of what's it called? The same way you make use of Microsoft, when you are typing a document or something, you try to manage things when it comes to typography and all that. That's the same way it works with this. I'm going to use another text, for instance. If you see this, it's still loading, just give it some time. So for this now, for instance, we have the title, we have the body, we have the title, we have the subheading, we have the body. So you see how that every text are not the same size. What they try to do is that they try to govern the eyes of the reader to start reading from this to that. Some other times, like what this designer did here, we also use colors to explain. We also use colors to guide the mind of the reader, just so that the reader is attracted, and the user is attracted to to take a decision while the user is having a look at the design. So there are a lot of things about hierarchy principles in design that I'm not going to explain currently. We're still going to look at that. So probably what I would do, because the reason why I rushed into designing is because it assumed that I was teaching a lot of theoretical, and a lot of us are getting bored. So I'm trying to come into design. So now it's needing me to explain so many things that we ought to have cleared. But nonetheless, I think it's needful for us to jump into design. I think we've spent a lot of time. So back to this hierarchy. I know I need to increase this text for hierarchy's sake. So I'm going to come down here. Sorry, give me a minute. So for instance, you see this now, we do it by numbers. It's more like a multiplication or an addition, but I'll leave that for now. So, but for today's class, let's go with this rule that has been made. We're going to go with this. So everything we're designing today, we're going to be using this rule. Our buttons should be 16. Our links should be 12. Our labels should be 12. And you could see the, what's it called? Sorry, hold on. Let me go back to this so that you could see the appearance this is medium size, this is regular, this is medium, this is bold, and all that. So if I come back to this, now this is a design system. I've shown us a design system before, but I'm going to show this again. Let me look at its documentation. Okay. This is component. This cover. Okay, documentation. So design system, or we call it UI documentation. So from this now, you see that this individual, his own font sizes, his regular text is 12. That small text, he calls it small text, medium text, large text. He has 12, he has 14, he has 16. Extra large, he has 20. And headings, these are his sizes for headings. He has headings for 16, 20, 24, 28. Now you see how the sizes are looking. Once you create a system like this and you tend to use it across your design, what happens is that every title or headings across your design would have the same font size. So the font size that was used for this year will be the same that is used for this, will be the same that is used for this. What this seeks to achieve is consistency across your design. I've said it a number of times to us. Consistency across your design. Consistency across your design. So for the purpose of today's class, we're just going to use this, and we're going to use the font that has been requested. So if you look here, the font here says for label, heading, body. So for this, we're going to use this guy. Which font is this? Laura. We're going to use Laura for body, which is for this. And we are going to use... Okay, just give me a minute. Let me read this properly. Body, heading. Okay, so we're only using Laura. This is Laura. We're using Laura for heading. Now, these guys are trying to tell you for the design that they hope to do, this font, which is Poppins, is used for hold on, let me screenshot this and take it into Figma so I can zoom in properly and explain. Oh, Lord, help us. Okay, I hope it's not going to be blocked. Yeah, it's not blocked. So now, on this, we'll see here they try to give us an example of the fonts. Try to give us an example of the font. So the body font, they try to use it to type something here, which is this. The font size is 16. The heading, which is this. The font size is 32. The label, which is this. Dinner table, that's what label said. The font size is this. And now this designer went further to even help us with opacity. Try to show us which one should look a little bit faint. Now this one has an 100% opacity. This one had an 80% opacity. This other one has a 50% opacity. Now, what opacity tends to achieve, again, is hierarchy. So that when I see the design, this guy, which is supposed to be the heading, would be the one to stand out. Now, if you look at the side of my screen here, you will see how that the icon that are close to the text are a little bit faint than the text. So there are certain times across designs, or if we come up here, if you look at these two buttons that are here, this one happens to show, let me screenshot that and I'll take it. Let me just screenshot it and I'll zoom in properly. Okay, even if it's very faint, we're going to manage it. Let me try and boost resolution. See. Okay, yes, that works. It's more sharp now. So now you see that the font thickness that is used in this is different from this. Also, the color, this one looks a little bit more fade than this one. Now, what they're trying to do is, again, hierarchy. We're trying to focus now. The reason why this one is like this is because this one happens to be the one that is active. Now, if I come back to the top here, if I click on the other one, it flips. It now tells me this is the one that is active. So I come back again, I click this one, it flips. It tells me this is the one that is active. So the one that's active determines on what is shown at this angle over here. So now, across this design, we'll be making use of this guy. When you do your design system, everything you need for your design, this is just like I don't even think I'll give us this guy. I don't think this guy is equipped enough. Now, you see these guys down to buttons that I used. When you create your design system, like I said to us, I have a design system that I use across my projects. I just duplicate. I don't start doing it. I duplicate, try to modify it as it best fits the particular project that I'm working on. So we'll go back to our design proper now. Okay, dear. Okay, so I was hoping that I would have finished this thing by now. All this explanation. Okay, so this design size we're making use of this guy. But now for me, I don't want us to introduce this font because this font does not really depict what we're trying to do. So font has a way of explaining every brand. So for this particular one, this is the brand font they've used. It looks, this is serif font. The fonts are grouped by certain names. We have sans serif, we have serif, and keep going like that. But I think some of these things too, you can try and make research. So coming down to this, we're going to use 24 as our title. So if you check here, our title says 24, font size 24. We'll come here. This is our title. This was how it was before. I use the font size 24. Now, our font size seems to be bigger than this guy's font size. Oh, sorry, our title font seems to be bigger than this guy's title font. But now we're just trying to replicate their design. We're not following the exact what's the right word now? Design system that they've prepared for their design. So we just try to replicate. If we want to follow exactly this, so I think this should be like 22 or 24. Yeah, I think it should be 22. 22 is like what they used. So by tomorrow, I will show us how that if you want to use most of the time, these numbers are determined by the font. Let me show you what I mean by that. Certain fonts are bigger than the other. Some fonts has, just like you and I, some of you are bigger than me. Some of me, I'm bigger than some other people. Not regardless of age. Let's say they put you beside someone that has the exact age with you. All of us don't have the same body stature and stamina. The same thing happens with fonts. So now this font, for instance, I'm going to use Beside, we forgot to even change the font. It's supposed to be Poppins. But let me change this to Poppins. P-O-P-P. Now, if you notice, these are two fonts. We check here, two fonts, the same size, font size, but different body size. Poppins seems to be bigger than SF Pro. So your font, the choice of font you're using will determine how that all of these numbers would be, if these numbers will be changing or not. So we normally start with the regular. We start with the regular and we start multiplying. We start adding numbers to it. I will explain that in detail tomorrow. I just want us to finish what we have to have today. So that's how you're able to generate all these other numbers you use and all the numbers you use down here. So now, if we're going to be using Poppins, let's change this to Poppins and see if it matches with what these guys have here. So we use P-O-P-P. Now this is Poppins. For what we have here, the title that was used here is 24. The title that is used with Poppins here is, we're using 20. Let me bring this in here. We're using 20 and it is almost the same thing. Now let's take this to 24 and let's see how it looks. Now see, it looks extremely big. So like I said, choice of font would then determine how that this would be, but I would explain that later. I think I should also, after the meeting, I don't want to open my WhatsApp because of YouTube flag. After the meeting, I will drop that link. You can also read this link. This link guides you how you can it gives you a typical example. It explains how you are able to achieve font, how you're able to achieve sizes of your font and all that. If you read it and you think you understand, good for you. If you don't understand, I can still do some this thing tomorrow. There are some plugins that you can use instead of calculating this thing manually with your head. Some plugins you can use to generate these things automatically. You just put your text, put your primary text, it generates the entire thing for you, and you can use it across your design. So a number of these people have been able to do a lot of things that's supposed to help us work smarter and faster. So I'm going to still use SF Pro, and I'm going to stick with our font size, which is 24. So SF Pro is what we're using because it's a little bit more similar to this. And yeah, it says we should use medium. Yeah, I'm using semi-bold. I'm going to change it to medium. Medium seems too light, so I'm going to take it back to semi-bold. Let's leave it at semi-bold. So the next thing I'm going to do is to impute the text that is below. So I can type or I can duplicate this and start typing. Let me just type. I click on my font. I'll tap. It says select. Now let me reduce the size of this. Now this is our body text. We'll go back to this. Our body text says we should use regular and it should be 16 pixels. So here we're using 24. So we're going to change this to regular and it should be 16. So this says, this guy still feels very big to me, the font, but we're going to manage that. I can also say, sorry, hold on. I'm trying to do something. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Before we do calculation tomorrow, I'm going to want us to drop down Okay, let me not do that. Let me not do it. Let's just continue. Let's continue. We can then see if we see that the texts are too big, tomorrow when we come back and we understand the text sizes, we'll then readjust this to properly fit what the font size that these guys have used. So it says select which method you would like to reset. Full stop. Going to take this up a little bit. Now, if you could see this design also, you will notice that the color used there is more strong than the color used here. This guy seems to be a little bit faded, a little bit. Now, what I'm going to do is to adjust the size of that color. So I'm going to use, I can put this to, this guy said, what's the color for their regular? The regular, that's the body. Font opacity said 80. Now let's just work with that. We're going to do a full color and everything much later, but let's work with this first. 80. So if I come back to this, I could see it's a little bit faint. It's not like what it initially was. Now I want to create this aspect. So for me, I strongly feel like this font is extremely big. So, but because we've not done adjustment, I still think I want to decrease it to 14 personally, so that it sits well. It's very big and it's just in my face. So, email address. Now, I'm going to open our grid now to see this and see where our text here is supposed to end. It ends at the tip of the grid. Remember, I told us grid. So I'm going to lay out. Sorry. Layout guide. So I'm going to remove it now. So I have this. Let me use it 100% for you. I'm going to use this to semi-bold. So I'm just going to be designing now. Just rectangle. Pull back my grid so I can have a clear view of what I'm doing. The edges of this, I can make it. Okay, since we're replicating this, let me just proceed. My edges, I'll come to appearance. There's this corner radius here. If I use 20, it's going to be 20%. If I use 10, it's going to be 10%. But for me, I'm going to use 100 because I want it to be fully rounded. 14, 6, 16. Or 16 happens to be big, so we change it to 14. So I'll keep using 14. Okay. I think I almost got the size. Yeah. I want to put the color. I'll come back to that. Remember, we have this that is at the bottom. So I want to achieve this also. Make a rectangle. Like the sizes. Like that also. A good way to build your UI instincts is to try what we were doing. That's pick a design and try to replicate the design. Now I need the color. I'm going to pick this color. You can use shortcuts. Just click on your keyboard, color I. Just click on I. You're able to I drop any color around. So we're just going to pick this. If we want to use something else, okay, let's use a different color. Let's look for, let me see. Let's look for a green. Let's say a shade of green. Green color code. So I don't want something too harsh. I need something. I would have loved these guys, but they didn't put their names. So I want us to copy the color code. Let's see these guys. Okay, this guy is good. Lime. So Lime's color code is 32CD32. So we can use this blue, or you can put a color you want. So let's just go with the blue since we're trying to replicate the guys. So pick this, put the color, the text now. Now for contrast, there's how we understand contrast based on color wheels. A light color should be on a dark background, and a dark color should be on a light background. A dark color cannot be on a dark background. A light color cannot be on a light background. There should be contrast. Let me look for something here. Yeah, this, for instance, both of these are bad contrasts. I'm going to copy this and no, I wanted to copy, not save. I'm going to copy this. Just a quick one. both what we have here happens to be bad contrast. A good contrast would, no, rectangle, this is red, and this other guy is ash. The text says, this is what the text says. Let's broaden it, let's centralize it, and do the same for this. This is what they have, and it's a very bad contrast. If I want to do this, I would prefer to use either plain white or a little shade of white. And for this, I can still use white. Now, this is a better contrast. This is more readable than this. So we'll take our time and we'll look into contrast much later. I'm also having a feeling like I should just share with us the document. Let's go and read it by ourselves. I don't want us to read and then come back with a lot of questions. I don't understand this, I don't understand that. So that's why I've not shared a couple of these things. So these are design rules. So I'll come back to this. Contrast, this is a bad contrast. We would want to change this to something bright. Use white. So let's put this guy at the bottom. So this guy, let's duplicate this and remove. Now, so I've done the first one. I want to do the second one. So instead of having an empty frame, instead of me bringing in another empty frame, where did I put the frame? Instead of me bringing in, yeah, this way enter. Instead of me bringing in another empty frame like this, and start replicating what I've done here for this, I can just duplicate this guy. I can duplicate this guy by, if you're Windows, you can hold, sorry. You can use your Alt key in Windows or Mac, whatsoever. Just click on your Alt key to duplicate the frame you already have. You can still put a new frame and just copy, click on this and paste. You can still do that. You copy, you click on the new frame, you paste. You can do that. Either of them can work. So the reason why I want us to use the elements that are on this frame is because a number of things are on this frame that we still need to use, like what's at the top, what's at the bottom. So just those things. Now, from this here, we change this to reset password. If you have your device at home, I would strongly recommend that you try these things out on your own. So here we'll have new password. Okay. Like I said, if you have questions as I'm working, you let me know. The password. I'll come to this guy shortly. Just okay. So now, if you look at this guy now, you see that the password here. I want to be able to do this. Password here it shows that the password is hidden. Dot 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 dot, and here it shows an I. So you can get icon to put, but for the course of this lecture, we're going to extract an icon. So I'm going to right click and go to action, plug in. saved plugin. Not qualified. How come the rest of my account went out? Maybe good. Okay, so I want to search an icon. Let me say password. I know that shouldn't bring out so much, but let me see what it shows. These are passwords icon. None of them is showing me what I need. So what I'm supposed to search is I. Yep, this is what I need. So which of them is the I that is closed? Yeah, we have it here. So we have closed one and open one. So let's look for one to use. I'm looking for one that we can use on both sides. I would like us to create. Okay, let me leave us creating this. Let me just take something simple. So I'm going to take this into my design. Let me see how it looks. Is it too heavy or not? Okay, for want of time, we're going to use that guy. The other one here seems to be very heavy. So I'm going to remove this. So they look very close. I'm going to expand the size to, let's say, 28. 26. Okay. I'm going to reduce the opacity to like 70. No. So I want to use a lighter shade of color. Okay, so for the dot, a lot of people do a lot of things. They might want to use dots, use normal dot, 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 dot. You can do this and just increase the size. So let's see this. I'm going to duplicate this. Rename this to confirm password. So the same way we added an icon, can also add an icon here. Uh, let's try and get another icon for this guy. Let's see. This is loading. Let's see. Can pick anyone you want. Let's use this, either this or this. Let's try this. Okay. Now we are at the second page, so we need to flip this guy. I spoke to us earlier about progress. So we're just trying to tell that the screen, we're at the second part of how things are progressing. So we have the second page done. The third one, going to duplicate. Get what we have for the third one. So all of these, there. Have this, we just have continue. For them, they remove the 3 dots at the bottom. So you want, since you're following their design, do what they've done. This congratulations. Have been fired. So now to get this guy. Okay. I used shape, star. I can increase the number of the star. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this will be 8. With that, let me try 20. Nope. 90 plus 80. I don't know exactly what they used. So, but let me try and adjust it from here. It'll be 77. So let me leave it at this. I'm gonna use 10 for the edges. Okay, so I think we've done it. Now, as we're reducing it, the shapes that were added, the customization rather that were added is fading away. So let me reduce it a little. Okay. Class will be ending in 15 minutes, so I need to make this mark. So I go back to say good. No. What's the name of this icon again? Mark. I think it's mark. Oh, what's the exact name of this icon? I used to forget this name. Okay, yeah, check. Okay, let's pick one of it. Increase the thickness. Okay, we change the color of this to what we have here. Change the contrast of this to the white. So we have successfully replicated what we have here. Now let's say we want, oh, we forgot something. We didn't add the back button icon. Fortunately, I didn't see that, and nobody called my attention to it. And that's an awareness that a number of us are not here. Let me just put that so that I can bring the class to an end. Iconify, I'll use the
Good evening,
icon.
sir.
Sorry, yeah, sorry, Mike, I can hear you.
Okay. For the last part, here we have the tick success. That's the
Yeah,
last replication here. I was
yeah.
actually thinking if it's actually right though, because what I was thinking in my head was that like we're going to have two double box, like a square shape, and then we'll rotate one. I don't know if that makes sense. Or we can just go by the star shape.
No, it's your design. If you want to do, I get what you're saying. So this is what
That
you're saying.
that was actually what came to mind first because I was
Your
like,
mind.
where are we going
Oh,
to like get that shape, that particular
that
star
shape.
shape?
Oh,
Because
oh, exactly.
I didn't know it was possible. So I was like, probably we could just rotate and then place it
But this is
inside.
what you were making reference to.
Exactly.
And then you use, let's say, 10.
Exactly. Is what I was talking about.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. That's fine. So the same
Okay.
way this was also created like that. It shapes. What they just do that they ended up combining the shapes and then it became a single.
Okay.
So it's fine.
Oh,
Fine.
okay. Wow.
If you want to create your shape, it's fine. If you want to search out and it's fine. It's all fine. You can do that in different ways. But the reason for challenge for this now is that if you then want to change this shape, let's say you want to use, remember I was talking about design system. Let's say you want to use something that has more like a star like this, but then now has
Yeah.
many more like verified button. Let me use not this type of verified button. Let me show you the one that is used in Jumia. Let me check, click on a product. Let me go back. This type. This is now a normal star. So for me, I would use this one so that I can adjust it at any time. I'll just count my stars. It's 12. I just come to 12. It gives me what I want. I can use this across my design for different shapes. I can increase the depth, do whatever it is that I want to do. You get, but if for you, it's like I said, once you start designing, you use what is more convenient for you. You know, for you now, your head, you quickly thought about how to achieve that. That's being a designer. You look for how quick you can come up with a solution to what you're doing. Nobody will start checking inside to see how did you achieve it. We don't do all those kind of pass mark in design. What we're looking at is the aesthetic, how it looks, and the functionality, the UX, the UI. That's it. Okay,
Okay.
so um, I want to get the back button here. the shape that was used, was it rough or sharp? I can't tell if it was rough or sharp. Do you have any other one? Okay, let's just go with this want of time. I wanted to use something that we can make adjustment to. None of these guys. Okay, I think this guy should work. Yep, this guy works. Some of these shapes I'm picking, you can create this something like this yourself. An example, just like what Sarah Marquez is saying. I click on a square. I can rotate it to 45 degrees. It gives me what I have here. But these are stress. I now start editing and then start editing it. Say, cut. I need to start editing. I say, okay, where did he go to? Oh, yeah. So then I now reduce. All of these are stress to me. Then I come and I rotate the edges. Come here and rotate the front. Before I then get what I want. Its font size for this is 1.5. The height is what, 9. So let me adjust this. Then the font size of this to 1.5. So I've been able to get what I have here. So just to make things easy, I just go and pick and use as is necessary. So we want to create what we have to be the back button. So it's 18. Right. Okay, oops. 10. That's almost, let's use 20. So we're using 20. We need to create a rectangle or a circle. Go to shape, get an ellipse. I'm going to be using my grid for both up and side to ensure that it doesn't touch any of them. Let me see how the gas is doing on that. See? Yeah, same. So they did what? Okay, so I need to work on the thickness for it. I follow. So I'm going to use what I have here. And follow first. Okay. Okay, there's something I'm seeing that I don't like. This 15 is 16. Okay. So I have this guy here. Okay. Paste it here also. What? Incoming as supposed to. Oh, I'm seeing this button didn't get to the edge. Yep. Copy this. Okay. So size of this is 5. Show goes round by no 307. It's 370. Okay. This should be. 70. Okay, so we're done. So now let's prototype. Let's prototype this. I want to show us something real quick. So I'm going to take this out a little bit. Let me display this. Let's display this. Now, first thing I need to click on this prototype section here. I click on it. It asks me a couple of questions. Prototype settings. What's my display? What's the display I want to use? I want to use tons of devices, but because I designed with iPhone 17, I'm going to be using iPhone 17. If I change it to any other device here, that's the device that I'll be using to prototype. Now, the next year, it's telling me the color of the device. I want lavender, I want sage, mist blue, white, black. You see here, the color of this is changing. White, blue. So we're just going to leave it at lavender. You asked me the screen, is it portrait, is it landscape? I can also use it color for my background, how I wish. So I'm going to leave it on full black so that the things we want to display will pop out well. Now, once I click on this, I click on the frame I want to display, and I click on the play button up here. So I can use preview or I can click here. If I click on present, it takes me to a new screen. So it depends on what I set. If I set it to preview, it's going to be on this same screen, but it's going to be prototyping by the side here. If I'm going to use present, it's going to take me to a new screen. So let me change it to this guy, the bottom one. So it's popping up, it's loading my design, trying to put it on the phone screen. Let's see how it looks. So just give it a few minutes. Trying to start up for the first time. Like I said, Figma is a web-based tool. So it basically needs your internet. So you can see the design we did today. If I move anything in this design, it is moved from the prototype. So I'm going to Ctrl Z. The next page, this. The last page, this. So if we had more time, which we don't, I would have done a little bit of animation to this so that you see how that works. But now, what I just want to show us are these buttons. If I want to prototype these buttons, I know that this screen leads to this screen and this screen should lead to this screen. So what I need to do is, while I'm still clicking on my prototype tool here, now what you need to do is these buttons, the text and the buttons should be grouped. You can frame them, but I'm going to teach us what it means for it to be in a particular frame. But for now, just group them. Let all buttons be grouped. I've grouped this already. So now what we're going to do is we'll click on the prototype tool here. Remember, if you want to make adjustments, setting to your design, you need to click on design button here. you want to prototype, you're going to click on prototype here. So click on prototype. If I send my prototype to make Figma, Figma has just developed a tool that can help me do some automating. For instance, if I want this button to be doing something, maybe turning, Figma had done that, but you need to subscribe to do that. But let me just do something primary here. Now, if my user puts in their email and they click continue, I want them to navigate to this page. So I'm going to, now remember this, I'm clicking on prototype here. My prototype toggle is turned on here. Now, if you notice, if I put my cursor on tools like this, you will see that it is showing me a plus sign. Showing me a plus sign. So what I just need to do, I just need to click and drag. Sorry, hold on. I click on it and I drag. I'll paste it here. Click on the next one. That is, my user clicks on this button, it should take them to the final page. I'll drag, paste it here. Now, let's assume that we have one more page. I'm just going to leave that page. I'm going to leave this page to be blank. So, but I'm going to remove the text and everything we have on this page. I'm just going to add one shape on this page. Now let's assume this page, we've started designing some things. Let me put 20 as put it to 30. Let me put the color to still be blue. And let me put the text that says welcome. Welcome, Yetunde. So now let's say Yetunde has finally signed into our account. So now we'll go back to prototype here. You click on prototype. You see the user finally gets to this page and user clicks continue. Click on the button. You drag the plus sign, take the user to this page. Just drag and leave it where it's supposed to be. Now, when I drag each of these things, this thing popped up. I don't know if you noticed it when I did it for all of them. This thing popped up. Now, this thing you're seeing, I'm going to teach us extensively what these things are supposed to do. But these are supposed to direct how the next page should come up. Do I want it to be that when the user, how does that trigger? The user need to tap on it. When the user tap on this button, it should take the user to him. See, when the user tap on this button, what's the action? The trigger is when they tap. The action is take the user to the next page, navigate to. So the user should navigate to destination, the next page. So now see the name of this page is iPhone 17-4. That is this iPhone 17-4. Now, if I want a different action, if I say when the user tap on it, it should take the user back to a different page, or it should scroll. Like let's say there are a lot of content in the page and I want to quick scroll to a particular side of the screen. It should scroll. If the user tap on it, you should open a new link, you should set a variable, you should open an overlay, you should swap an overlay, you should close an overlay. I'll show us all these things, what they can do, but for now, we're using the first one, navigate. Destination to the iPhone screen. Action, how do I want it to move? Instant, that I just want it to appear. Dissolve, I want it to fade out. Smart animate, I want it to animate. Move in, I want it to move in, move out, pushing. These are different ways. You know, when you use Power Slide, I don't know, many of us have used PowerPoint. How you have that things can come in, go out. All those actions you have in Power Slide, you can effect something like that here. Now, this first one that says trigger, I can use a number of them. I can say when the user tap on it, when the user drag it, when the user hovers their mouse on it, when the user press it, when the user using gamepad. You can test for those of you that play games are also designed with UI, with Figma. It's done by UI UX. So if there's a game, if you are designing for a game application, you can see when the user taps certain buttons on their gamepad, this is what should happen. When the user tap the mouse, dash down, and all, you can do an automate after delay. After 5 minutes, it should take the user to this page. So left to you. Now, I use the same thing for all of them. Now, once you create a prototype like that, what you now discover that it now gives you this faint blue action that tells you that this button has been prototyped, has been action for prototype. So you see where it's pointing to. Each of those buttons will start pointing. Now, notice we still have some buttons here that we have not actioned. There are also buttons here that we've not actioned. When we come tomorrow, I might take us through looking at creating. So, this button, when the user click on it, it's supposed to show the password. User clicks on it again, it's supposed to hide the password. I'll probably show us how to create components like that should make that possible. Just like I created one time where I use a green color where you can turn on the toggle or turn off the toggle. So, but for this, let's just work with what is plain there. I don't want us to design any other thing new. So for here now, the button here, I'm going to say when the user click on this button, let's say I want to create an interaction with that. Click on this. I can also create my interaction from this point. So I want to add interaction. Instead of dragging, let's say I don't want to drag. I want to just create interaction and click on the plus sign. It asks me, trigger, when the user taps, what should happen? I say action. Now this is my back button. I can take this and put it here. I can also say when the user tap on it, the action I want is that I should take the user back to the previous page. So I click back. So now it shows up and shows a back icon sign. Say when the user tap on it, take the user back to a previous page. I come back to this. Now this one, there's no back page to refer to. So I'm going to leave this for now. If that were built a full system, we would have a back page. How the user got to this page? The user definitely could not sign in. So the user clicked forgot password. That's how the user got here. So for the user to go back to the sign-in page where the user was able to click forgot password, the user will be able to click here to take the user back to that page. But because we don't have that page, so we'll leave this hanging. Now, if you look at the top here, now this is showing me an action here to tell me that this is a flow. So I've been able to create a complete flow from end to end. So now I can name this flow. I can name this to reset password flow. What happens is that if I now come down to where I have my prototype, underneath here, I can see my flows. I'm able to see every flow. If I create a new flow to say change username, it should show up. If I create another flow, all my flows will be listed here. I can share each of these flow to the client to proofread and all that. Now, let me focus. We're going to do this lastly, and that's it. So we have been able to prototype all of this. I want us to test it. So we're going to start from the first page. This is our first page. Now, if you notice on this page, let me come to this page first. This page, we didn't prototype anything from this page. So if I click on this page, nothing happens. So I'm clicking from this design we have here now. Nothing happens. But if I go to a page that we've prototyped, remember this button is showing us here that it's prototyped. If I come to this page and I click, if you notice, this button here is beeping. It's trying to tell me, because I'm clicking my mouse on the screen, it's trying to tell me that this button is active. I can click on this button to navigate somewhere. If I come to a page that I have more than one things that are active, because this page will have two things that are active. If I click on an empty side, both of them are going to be beeping. It shows me that those are the two buttons. So you can use that to roughly see what and what is prototyped on a particular scene, or what and what has been iterated with an action on a particular screen. So from this first page, I want to navigate to this point. So from here, let's say I'm a user, I click on forget password and it brings me here. And on this page, I then happen to type my password. I click on continue. You navigate to the next page. See now, it's working automatically. I don't need to come back to the design. Now, if I want to share with a client or with somebody to test the design, this is the link I'm going to be sharing with the person. If I'm going to click the back button here, takes me back. I click the front button, takes me forward. So this is now functioning like a real-time app. Everything changes. You see even the icon here, it automatically switch to the next. If I click back, it switched to what is back. Everything confirms to what the prototype is telling it to do. So if I now want to say, hey, bro, let's test this design if it's functional. So I when I was teaching, I told us that we'll send the interactions to users, stakeholders to get feedback from them before the product is actually developed. So we design everything like this. It looks and feels like